The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Sri Lanka's budget deficit shrinks by 55% year-on-year to 411 billion rupees in the first 8 months of 2025. US State Department flags stalled Sri Lanka SOE privatization as key investment barrier. ASPI and S&P SL20 closed slightly higher amid cautious investor sentiment. And Wall Street climbs as investors look past looming US government shutdown risks.
From Studio 24C, here's Jenna Newman.
Good evening and welcome to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's budget deficit for the first 8 months of 2025 fell nearly 55% year-on-year to 411 billion rupees, signalling improved fiscal performance. Meanwhile, government debt rose slightly with total outstanding debt reaching 29.6 trillion rupees by mid-2025.
Sri Lanka's budget deficit for January to August 2025 dropped 54.88% to 411 billion rupees, down from 911 billion rupees the previous year. Tax revenue increased by 31% to 3.07 trillion rupees, while non-tax revenue grew 8% to 226.2 billion rupees. Recurrent expenditure rose 11% to 3.4 trillion rupees, but capital and lending spending fell 24% to 331 billion rupees. The government recorded a primary balance surplus of 1.27 trillion rupees, nearly doubling from the prior year. Total government debt rose 3% to 29.6 trillion rupees, with foreign debt increasing 3.8% to 10.8 trillion rupees. Domestic debt grew 2.7%, with treasury bills declining 3.4% and bonds rising 6% compared to last year.
The Sri Lanka-Japan Business Council, led by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, successfully headed a high-level business delegation to Japan during President Anurukumar Dissanayaka's official visit in September 2025. The delegation participated in the Sri Lanka Business Forum in Tokyo, co-organized by Jetro, Mitai and Sri Lankan agencies, strengthening bilateral trade ties. They also attended networking events in Osaka and the Japan Expo, supported by the Sri Lankan Embassy. Key speakers highlighted Sri Lanka's digital economy, investment opportunities and export corridor plans. The visit concluded with B2B sessions aimed at boosting Sri Lanka's business presence in Japan. The delegation underscores the Council's commitment to deepening economic cooperation and attracting strategic investments. The U.S. State Department's 2025 Investment Climate Statement highlights stalled SOE privatization, rigid labor laws and foreign investment restrictions as key challenges for Sri Lanka's economic growth. Despite some strengths, the report stresses the need for reforms to boost investor confidence and achieve FDI targets.
The U.S. State Department's 2025 Investment Climate Statement highlights stalled privatization of state-owned enterprises and rigid labor laws as major obstacles to Sri Lanka's investment prospects. The report notes that 527 SOEs, including 55 strategic ones, continue to burden public finances, with privatization efforts suspended by the current government. Foreign investors face high transaction costs, unpredictable policies, and opaque procurement processes, particularly impacting the energy sector. Despite these challenges, Sri Lanka allows 100% foreign ownership in most sectors and offers constitutional investment protections. It concludes that without reforms in governance, trade facilitation and labor laws, Sri Lanka's goal of attracting $5 billion in FDI by 2025 will remain difficult to achieve.
Sri Lanka's Minister of Trade Vasantha Samarasinghe recently held discussions with India's Minister of Food Processing Industries and Minister of State for Cooperation, aiming to strengthen bilateral ties in food security, cooperative development and capacity building. The talks included meetings with key Indian agricultural bodies such as National Cooperative Export Limited and the National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India Limited, focusing on boosting export promotes improving market strategies and sharing best practices in cooperative models and supply chain management. The event served as a vital platform to deepen collaboration in food processing, agriculture and related sectors, further strengthening the economic relationship between Sri Lanka and India. Both sides express optimism about expanding trade and cooperation to benefit farmers, businesses and consumers in both countries. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market closed higher today, with both major indices posting gains. The ASPI and S&P SO20 edged up amid cautious investor sentiment. For further insights on this, we have Manu Shikamdhanarachi from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. Riding the wave of yesterday's bullish surge, the Colombo stock market charged ahead once more, fueled by a powerful rally in hotel and plantation sector counters. The day began on a shaky note, with early selling pressure threatening to derail the momentum. But the market refused to back down as well. In a steady and determined climb, it found its way back, turning red into green. By the closing bell, the index stood proud at 21,781, a resounding gain of 105 points, sealing another victorious chapter in its upward march as well. High net worth participation remained relatively low, with moderate participation from retail investors. Turnover for the day stood at 6.3 billion rupees, reflecting a decrease of around 12% compared to the monthly average that stands at around 7.1 billion rupees. Food, beverage and tobacco sector took the lead in terms of sector-wide contributions to turnover, with a share of 20%, followed by the consumer services and the capital goods sectors, which pronounced a combined contribution of around 28%. The top three price gainers of the day were Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC, Ceylon Hotel Corporation and Paragon Ceylon, whereas the top three price losers of the day were Industrial Asphalts, Mercantile Shipping Company and Associated Motor Finance.
Sri Lanka continues to face tight liquidity conditions despite recent signs of economic recovery. Inflation remains moderate but sensitive to supply shocks and currency fluctuations. For further insights on this, we have Ranjan Ranathunga from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. With policy rates maintained at 7.75% at the previous monetary policy announcement, average weighted prime lending rates, or the AWPR, was broadly stable during the last week, with AWPR dropping by about 2 basis points to close the week at 8.05%. The stable market lending rates will broadly remain similar since the last policy announcement, with AWPR hovering around the narrow band of 8 to 8.1%. Relatively stable government security yields, stable macroeconomic indicators, and surplus liquidity in the banking system were main causes towards the rates remaining in similar levels during the past few months. In terms of liquidity, overnight liquidity in the banking system saw a further improvement, climbing towards the 170 billion mark last week, increasing from the 130 billion levels observed during the previous week. Possible decrease in credit demand for vehicle imports is believed to be a major catalyst towards the improvement in liquidity position in the banking system. Looking ahead, we believe AWPR will continue to hover in the band of 8 to 9% levels, supported by stable policy rates, lower inflation pressure, stable macroeconomic indicators, and surplus liquidity in the banking system, which we believe will return back to its peak of 200 billion levels that observed in May 2025. Thank you.
Gold prices hit fresh records in Asian trade today, extending their strong run over the past week as markets fretted over a seemingly imminent U.S. government shutdown. Spot gold hit a record high of 0.2% to $3,865.73 an ounce, while gold futures hit a peak of $3,893.72 an ounce. The yellow metal was sitting on a roughly 17% gain in the third quarter as haven demand was boosted by a slew of factors. Spot platinum was set to nearly add 18% in the third quarter, while spot silver was trading up 30%. Both metals also surged to more decade highs on Monday. Among industrial metals, benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange steadied at $10,418.60 a ton and were up 5% in quarter three. COMEX copper futures hovered around $4.09 a pound and were up 11.4% in quarter three. Oil prices fell today as another anticipated production increase by OPEC Plus and the resumption of oil exports from Iraq's Kurdistan region via Turkey reinforced the outlook for a looming supply surplus. Brent crude futures for November delivered, expiring today, fell 28 cents or 0.4% to $67.69 a barrel. The more active contract for December was down 33 cents or 0.5% at $66.76 per barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were trading at $63.16 a barrel, down 29 cents or 0.5%. The drop extended yesterday's falls when both Brent and WTI settled more than 3% lower after logging their sharpest decline since the 1st of August. Oil falls came as Iraq's Kurdistan region resumed crude oil exports over the weekend and amid reports that OPEC Plus is likely to approve an increase in production for November as its meeting this weekend. The Sri Lankan rupee remains steady against the US dollar at commercial banks in Sri Lanka today than compared to yesterday. The buying rate of the US dollar remains unchanged at 299 rupees and 30 cents, while the selling rate is also unchanged at 304 rupees and 80 cents. Let's take a closer look on how the Sri Lankan rupee has performed against other major global currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. DFCC Bank has launched Sri Lanka's first ever Blue Bond, a groundbreaking LKR 3 billion initiative dedicated to financing sustainable ocean and coastal projects. This landmark issuance aims to protect marine ecosystems while supporting climate resilience and livelihoods in coastal communities.
DFCC Bank has launched Sri Lanka's first ever Blue Bond, raising 3 billion rupees to fund ocean and coastal sustainability projects. The bond supports clean water, sustainable fisheries, renewable marine energy, eco-friendly tourism, and climate adaptation for coastal communities. Rated A by Fitch, it follows international green, social, and sustainability bond standards. Nearly 30% of Sri Lanka's population depends on coastal resources, making this bond crucial for protecting livelihoods and ecosystems. This initiative builds on DFCC's history of sustainable finance, including the country's first green bond in 2024.
CSET Holidays has launched Skylux, Sri Lanka's first luxury travel card offering exclusive travel and lifestyle privileges. The card, available in VIP and elite tiers, provides discounts on airfare, hotels, dining, shopping, and more, enhancing both leisure and business travel experiences. Founded in 2017, SEP is known for bespoke tours, corporate travel solutions, and exceptional customer service. Skylux members enjoy customized bookings, preferred pricing, and exclusive promotions across various lifestyle sectors. The company also introduced La Festa Cruise and Luxury Tours, a premium cruise experience with exclusive destinations. SEP continues to innovate, aiming to enrich travel experiences while rewarding customer loyalty. ICC and H&B have joined forces to make home ownership more accessible through flexible financing solutions. The partnership will combine ICC's construction expertise with H&B's tailored financial products to benefit prospective buyers.
International Construction Consortium has partnered with H&B to enhance home ownership accessibility through flexible financing solutions. The strategic collaboration, formalized by an MOU, leverages ICC's 40 years of expertise and H&B's tailored financial products. Joint initiatives include co-branded campaigns, digital outreach, and an exclusive open day for prospective buyers. H&B emphasized the combined strength of construction and finance expertise to boost buyer confidence. The MOU, valid until December 2026, aims to expand awareness and support for home buyers across Sri Lanka.
Singer Sri Lanka plc has launched Huawei's latest smart wearables and tablets, making cutting-edge technology accessible nationwide. The new lineup features a Huawei Watch Fit 4, Band 10, FreeBuds CE2 and MacPad SE11, blending sleek design with advanced functionality. The Watch Fit 4 offers professional-grade fitness tracking, a vibrant A-mold display, and a 10-day battery life. The Band 10 includes sleep and stress monitoring, AI coaching, and over 100 workout modes for fitness enthusiasts. The FreeBuds SE2 deliver crystal clear sound with up to 40 hours of battery life and instant pairing. The MacPad SE11 features a large eye-friendly display, durable metal body, and powerful battery suitable for work, learning, and environment. Close-Up launches Break the Barrier, Sri Lanka's first ever crowdsourced love storybook, celebrating the courage of young hearts to express love without fear. This groundbreaking project captures real stories from across the nation, inspiring a movement of openness and acceptance.
Close-Up has unveiled Break the Barrier, Sri Lanka's first crowdsourced love story book featuring 100 real stories from young people across the country. The initiative grew from a campaign encouraging youth to share their love stories without fear, resonating with over 42 million views online. A panel of literary experts selected the most compelling tales, capturing themes of courage, vulnerability, and breaking silence. The book was launched during Literature Month at Water's Edge Hotel, celebrating expression and connection. Close-Up aims to empower youth to embrace love boldly with support from creative energy partners. Close-Up aims to empower youth to embrace love boldly with support from creative agency partners. Break the Barrier stands as a cultural milestone, inspiring openness and acceptance in Sri Lanka's younger generation.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Most Asian stocks kept a slim range today following mixed business activity readings from the region's biggest economy, while Australian shares moved little after the Reserve Bank kept rates steady but flagged increased caution over sticky inflation. Japan's Nikkei 225 rose 0.1%, while the Topix added 0.4% after both indexes marked a weak start to the week. China's Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite indexes rose rose 0.2% and 0.4% respectively, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell 0.2%. South Korea's Kospi was flat, while Singapore's Straits Times Index rose 0.2%. South Korean industrial production and retail sales data also underwhelmed for August. Australia's ASX 200 index was flat as investors digested an interest rate decision from the Reserve Bank. India's Nifty 50 index tread water in morning trade today. US stocks closed higher, with technology providing the biggest boost as investors bet on growth from AI and the expectations that the Fed will keep cutting interest rates.
U.S. stocks closed modestly higher on Monday, with the Dow gaining more than 0.1%, the S&P 500 adding about 0.25%, and the Nasdaq climbing roughly 0.5%. The technology sector provided the S&P 500's biggest boost. A standoff between Republicans and Democrats over funding has raised the prospect of a government shutdown beginning Wednesday, the first day of the U.S. government's fiscal 2026. Monday's stock moves included U.S.-listed shares of cannabis-related companies, which rose after President Trump shared a video on Sunday promoting the health benefits of hemp-derived cannabidiol. Shares of Canopy Growth rallied more than 17%, while Kronos Group climbed about 13%, and Tilray Brands soared more than 60%. Shares of Lam Research advanced more than 2% after Deutsche Bank upgraded the rating on the chip-making equipment firm to buy from hold. And shares of digital marketing firm AppLovin climbed more than 6% to set a fresh record high after Morgan Stanley raised the target price on the stock to $750 from $480.
Video game developer Electronic Arts has agreed to sell itself to a group of private investors in a deal that values the company at $55 billion, which would be the largest leveraged buyout in history.
Video game developer Electronic Arts has agreed to sell itself to a group of private investors in a deal that values the company at $55 billion, making it the largest leveraged buyout in history. The maker of Battlefield and Madden NFL is being bought by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, Jared Kushner's affinity partners, and private equity firm Silver Lake, the company said Monday. The deal for Electronic Arts underscores how deep-pocketed investors are betting on the enduring value of blockbuster game franchises as the industry recovers from a prolonged downturn. It also stands as a watershed moment in the market for leveraged buyouts, even though some of the biggest such buyouts in the past have ended disastrously. The previous LBO record holder, the $45 billion takeover of Texas utility TXU Energy in 2007 by a consortium of firms, including Goldman Sachs, went bankrupt in 2014, while Toys R Us went bankrupt in 2017, about a dozen years after it went private. Monday's takeover offer comes at a crucial time for Electronic Arts, which is gearing up to launch the much-awaited Battlefield 6 in an industry where gamers stick to proven and recognizable titles. The company's shares jumped about 5% in Monday morning trading.
That wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasuriya will meet you next with other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Jenna Newman. Thank you for watching and have a great night.